When I think back to that time in the hospital, the coming days after my surgery, I felt nothing but just a range of emotions: anger, frustration, sadness, confusion. Honestly, just constantly asking myself questions. Why? Why did it have to be me? Why did I have to be the one that got everything that I worked for taken away from me? Just anger because I couldn't do one of the things that I loved the most. Man, I was so messed up. I didn't talk for 3 days after my surgery. And on top of that, dealing with the fact that not only was my arm in excruciating pain, but I couldn't even bend my thumb. I was dealing with the question of not whether or not I play basketball again, but rather whether or not I would be able to use my left arm again in the same way. Whether or not I'd be able to do some of the regular everyday things I've done for my entire life ever again. Really humbles me looking back at that time, honestly. But from here, let's take a pause and let's pivot to Uncontainable by me, Lou Hutchinson. And today, we're featuring my good friend, track star from Louisiana Tech University, Leah Ellis. Welcome to Uncontainable by Lou Hutchinson podcast, where we talk about the pain behind the passion and the triumph that comes from that. Today, I am joined by my dear friend Leah,
Hey,
who ran track at Louisiana Tech this past year. Well, actually, was a jumper. Leah, how are you doing today?
good. How are you? Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being on. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Can't complain. Happy I woke up this morning. So,
Mhm.
so just off the bat, right off the rip, let's get
Okay.
started. Tell us a little bit just about yourself and about who you are as a track athlete.
Okay, so like Lou said, I'm Leah. I started track when I was in sixth grade. Yeah, so track wasn't my first sport. I kind of got into it later down the road. I first started off by doing Maltese, which is a little bit of everything. But then in college, I finally solidified to just being a jumper, finally. Being an athlete, it took a lot of hard work and dedication. I missed out on a lot of things, as we all do. And kind of, I feel like all my friendships came from my sport because I'm with these people 24/7. It came a part of like my extended family. So a lot of my friends, friendships, all of that comes from track. A little bit more into it. In high school, I have what, the freshman state record in long jump and in triple jump. I have a state title in long jump. I have county championships that I won. So from my state, I was pretty high ranked coming in.
So you were
Um,
just superstar since high
yeah,
school.
just a little bit, but all glory to God. Never could have done it on my own. But then I went to Louisiana Tech. It was between Tech and Rutgers for me. Those were my two big ones, but I chose Tech because my former high school coach was coaching at Tech now. So I came to be over here with him, but before I got here, he left. But everything worked out good. So that's just a little bit about me and my story.
Was it difficult for you to kind of move so far from home? I know Rutgers, you being from Jersey and all, that's I mean, I don't know what part of Jersey you're from. Rutgers, closer to home,
Hmm.
hometown hero type of vibe, type of situation. What was that transition like for you going all the way from New Jersey to Louisiana?
Honestly, I never wanted to go to school close to home. Not, I wanted to get out of Jersey as far as possible. I don't like the cold, and I feel like everybody that went to Rutgers, I ran with them my whole life. So I wanted a change of scenery. So definitely coming down south wasn't an issue for me. I feel like my freshman year, at some points I did get a little homesick where I would like miss being home with my family, or like sometimes when my friends could like just go up the street to go visit their parents for the weekend. It's like, dang, I can't do that. But overall, it definitely wasn't bad. I feel like I adjusted pretty quickly, but I also feel like that's because of my teammates and my coaches. They made it feel like home away from home, and like I had family around me. So, but I
That's
love the
good.
South.
Yeah, the South is nice. I mean, the weather. I feel like personally, the weather is probably the biggest plus of the South.
Yeah, I have to deal with this.
Along with other things, the food, the hospitality, all those things. But going kind of back into track just in general, right? I know some people might just be in it for the relationships, or some people, for whatever reason, truly just love running.
I'm not
Just
a
running
runner.
for your own enjoyment. As an athlete of a different sport, I kind of struggle with that notion sometimes. Like, okay,
Hmm.
well, y'all are elite at it, so do you? But for you, right, track and field, jump in, like you say, you did multis in high school, so you kind of got every like different little bit and piece of the track and field experience, doing all different types of events. For you, what does track and field mean to you, and what did it do for you in your life? What has it done for you in
Um,
your life?
I'll come back to the first one, but
Hmm.
what it has done for me, it has definitely brought me closer to God. I feel like I've always like my upbringing, I've been in church. My parents took me to church, but it was more so like maybe for like the more so major holidays, but I always like grew up knowing God. But it was my track coach and his daughter who was my best friend at the time. We're still really close. She's like a sister to me. They more like introduced me to God a little bit more and made me curious of growing my own relationship to God. So first, I feel like track has brought me closer to God, and especially like during college, my friends like we always talk about God. Like we started Bible study, so definitely brought me closer to God. It brought me friendships. It has allowed me to travel to many different places for many different reasons. So there's that. But I think the three major ones are friendships, God, and traveling and like new experiences. And
Okay,
then
so then, yeah, I was going to say, touching back on that first question, what does track mean to you?
track, well, track means to me, I feel like I have a love hate relationship with track, you know. At first, I was doing it because it was something that I was good at. Of course, I feel like that's how we all started off with a sport. We're doing it because somebody recognized we're good at it and it's okay. Like we need something to do during school, so it's fine. When I got towards like my senior year of high school, towards college, it wasn't as fun anymore, but it's like I'm good at it and it's going to pay for school. So I'm going to keep doing it. And then like my sophomore year, my junior year of college, that's when it's like, okay, like I'm now growing a love for this sport. So what it means to me, that's that I don't know why that's such a hard question for me to answer. I mean, it means something. I
Okay, so
have to come back to that.
I mean, honestly, we can go more in depth with that. I would say, like, for example, for me, right, with basketball, for a long time in my life, basketball has been like my refuge or my therapy, or kind of like my getaway,
Hmm.
in a lot of different ways. So I guess to dive into that a little bit more, right? When dealing with basketball, I would have a tough day, and especially in the summer, I have a basketball hoop in my driveway, right? I go
Hmm.
outside and shoot on my basketball hoop for like 2, 3 hours, even though it's like 90 plus degrees outside and I'm sweating bullets, and my parents are yelling in the house, get some water. Um, but even despite that, it was like going and doing this thing. It's like whatever's stressing me out, whatever I'm dealing with right now. It's like this is kind of my getaway, my ability to go and kind of like reset and rethink. So kind of even from that aspect, right, would track
Hmm.
kind of, give you peace? Would it be a getaway? Or was it more so just like this is something that I kind of ended up enjoying and just taking pride in your craft?
Definitely a getaway from certain things. It's like something that gave me, I look forward to going, or I look forward because my friends are going to be there, or I look forward today is where we're going to have track meets and I feel ready. So it's definitely like a getaway and like a peaceful thing for me. But to get more into that, I feel like me using track as an outlet to maybe kind of distract myself from other things caused like track to be more of a distraction for me, if that makes sense, because then it's like I started prioritizing track over other things, and especially like over God, which I feel like we can talk about that later, but which led to me being where I'm at today. But yeah, so at first it was definitely like I used that as an escape and a getaway to escape from reality or to relieve myself from stress. And yeah.
Okay. So then going on from there, looking at kind of the mental aspect of track, because of course we know the physical aspect of track, right? The training, the, you know, different training days, whether it be 100, 200, 300 repeats, shorter distance, medium distance, all that different stuff,
Mhm.
practicing different techniques when it comes to jumping and everything, right? Mentally, right? What is that preparation like for you, right? In practice, and then going all the way to the meet, right? When you're on a meet day, what's going through your head? How are you preparing, right? Because of course, at least I would think I've never ran track. I have
Mhm.
friends that ran track, but I've never ran track. Me being the competitor I am, I would think that the mindset of thinking when you're lined up next to somebody on that track is a little bit different than, when you're getting ready to go jump, because it's like when you're getting ready to go jump, you got a runway, right?
Mhm.
You're There's people around you, but you're by yourself. Like it's you versus you more than anything else versus,
Right.
you know, even when you're in those lines and you're lined up next to somebody, it's you versus you, but you got somebody to kind of compare yourself to in terms of, your event. So what's the mindset for you like going from training and transitioning into meet day?
Okay. Well, I would always say this is funny. Like before practice, I would always ask like, "What is the workout?" Because I need to know so I mentally prepare myself. Because I feel like a
Mm.
lot of it, and this is with every sport, but it's always more mental than it is physically. Especially like that's something that I had to remind myself on meet day. It's like I prepared myself to get here. I'm capable of jumping far or like running fast, but it's just can I mentally lock in? Can I block out everyone else and can I focus on myself and doing what I'm doing? So in practice, I would, and this didn't happen all the time, but I like to know what I'm getting myself into before I do it so I can just mentally prepare myself for, okay, it's going to be hard, but you're going to get through it. Like we're going to see the end of practice. And also something that I've started doing more like towards the end of my career, I would like imagine myself going through the motion. Like I would close my eyes or like kind of stare off into space and see myself doing it, whether it was completing the last rep, jumping, like I would see myself doing it perfectly, and then okay, try to go execute it because I feel like if I can see it, then I can do it. So that was another thing that I did. And then towards like going to like meets and preparing for meets, I feel like we always have those moments of self doubts like, dang, did I practice enough? Did I go hard enough? Or like sometimes it was also, I didn't get it right last practice. How am I going to magically do it now? And that's when like you just have to remind yourself like that you're capable of doing what you did, like you got through practice. And sometimes it's not always going to be perfect. You're not always going to PR every meet. You're not going to jump your best. You're not going to run as fast as you want to, but it's about showing up in the moment and being there like in that time. And sometimes your 100% looks different each and every day. So that's something that I definitely had to keep reminding myself like as long as today's effort was 100%, then that's all that matters and the outcome isn't always going to be what I want. And then another thing for me is a lot of people, so like we said, I'm a jumper. I do long jump and triple jump. So it's not just one race and then I'm done and I move on to the next. I have 3 to 6 jumps within a time span of however many people are in the flight with me. So it's like if I mess up on the first one, I have to get back up and try again. And if I'm mentally in my head that I can't do it or I'm getting frustrated with myself, it's just going to be nothing from downhill. So like for me, it was definitely trying to keep myself calm under pressure and not putting extended pressure on myself of like performing to a certain outcome. And like sometimes I just had to remind myself, like, I have one more jump to get it right. I have 2 more jumps to get it right. It's not the end of the world. So a lot of the time, like, you're talking to yourself in your head, trying to calm yourself down or trying to prepare yourself for the next jump. And it could be frustrating. It doesn't always work out the way you want it. And that's something, it's just like you learn as you go type of situation. But there's many a times where I messed up myself because I was in my head, or I wasn't like, I didn't think I was prepared enough, and then I performed out of like self-doubt, or like lack of confidence is another thing as well.
Yeah, I mean, in every sport, confidence is a big thing, but I'm sure in track, um, with running and jumping is a big thing too, right? I know y'all put in a lot of work, and you know, you have to really, really, really trust in your work, trust in your technique, trust in every facet and part of, what you've put in just to all come together on meet day. Um, because, as a jumper, you have different sequences and stuff in your jumps. And I mean, you know, I'm sure that with your routine, it's like even so detailed, even down to like how many steps you're taking before you take off, right?
Hmm.
Can you walk us through, right, when you're kind of like at the end of the tunnel in a meet, when you're at the end of the process, right? What is like? Is it a feeling of relief? Is it a feeling of, oh my goodness, right? What's the difference between, because of course, like when you're jumping, of course, I'm sure you've probably had tough days where you may have DQ'd multiple jumps, and then you've probably also had days where you go in PR, right?
Hmm.
What's that like at the end of the meet, um, when everything's done, good day, bad day, right? One, how you feel, and two, how do you get yourself back to kind of being even keel despite what the outcome was and kind of getting ready for the next?
Hmm. So to answer kind of the first portion, it depends on the day and how the outcome played out, like how I did. Days that I had good days, it's always like, okay, like now I can breathe, and it's always fun after the meet. I get to go watch my teammates compete, and I'm hype, and like it's always like it's just the good day after that. As always, you did good, you feel good, and then the rest of the day is pretty smooth. Sometimes like to go on off of that, I have like long jump first. Then a couple hours later, I have to come back and prepare for triple jump. So then it's like, okay, like now I'm pumped up. I feel good. I just did good in long jump. So I'm taking that energy with me into another event. And then sometimes if that second event doesn't go well, it's like, okay, at least I had one win for the day. Like I can't win everything. So it's still like a positive attitude. Now, days when it doesn't go too much the way that I want it to. I try not to sulk too much and like pity myself, but it is kind of rough not doing how you wanted to do, and especially when you know that you're capable of doing it. But I always like just remind myself that like we'll get it next time, and it's just today's not my day, and it's somebody else's day. And I can't win them all, but definitely go into a little bit moments of like self-reflecting of where I went wrong and where I could have done better. And of course, like talking to my coaches about like what did we think like went wrong, or like how I feel and like what I didn't feel or what I felt like I was doing too much of. Like just breaking everything down and kind of grasping where I did go wrong, so next time I can try to fix it, or it could be something we can go back and work on at practice. But I always take some time like after myself to reflect in my head, and of course like thank God, like at least I'm out of here and I'm healthy, and it may not have went how I wanted to, but or even when it does go like how I wanted to go, I always just take time to thank God, because it could have went completely differently. So, and I'm not ever doing anything on my own, I'm doing it with him. So definitely like just thanking God, and then prepare myself for back at practice. My coach always tells us like to have short-term memory loss, like okay, you've done it and then you forgot, and then he also tells us that you're only as good as your last performance. So sometimes like I take that, like when he tells us like we're only as good as our last performance, like I try not to like soak on the highs too much. Like okay, I know I did good, but there's always more work to be done and more improvement to be made. And then also like when I don't do as good as I want to, it's like okay, I have another chance this week, and that performance is gonna nobody's gonna remember that when I compete next week, so let's just go out even harder. But I definitely take like the stuff that I did that was good and bad and bring it into practice, and either try to continue to build up on that, or okay, so how do I avoid from doing this next time?
All right, I
But
think that's a
then,
really good mindset to have about it.
thank you. And then I was just going to add, like, with the bad days, like, after I'm done, like, being in my feelings for a little bit, as we all are, then I just go back to being with my teammates and, like, cheering them on, because nobody like wants to be the Debbie Downer in the group, or like, okay, just because Leah did bad, now she has an attitude for the rest of the meet. So I try not to be that person, even though it does suck. Like, these are my teammates, and if they're doing
Hmm.
good, then a win is a win, because we perform individually, but we train as a group and we compete as a group. So got to be
And
there for everyone.
honestly, for me, in past years, I've typically had friends in track and all that different stuff, and I've been to track meets, right? And I've had, friends that went and didn't perform how they want to perform. And a lot of time it would genuinely be difficult for them to go and kind of have a down attitude just because, you know, their teammates are cheering them on. Now they're going and performing and now they're doing everything they can to go hype them up. Um, Actually for me, one event that I found surprisingly entertaining was pole vault.
Mm.
Um, I caught myself at a track meet one year watching a whole like 2 hours worth of just like pole vaulting with some friends, cheering them on, and it was so much fun. So much fun. So yeah, I can definitely see how it's like done your event and your meet, whether it went how you wanted it to or didn't go how you wanted it to, right? Going and cheering on your teammates because I mean, track is interesting, right? Track is a team sport, but it's also an individual sport at the same
Mm.
time, somewhat. So, right, it's like you focus on your craft, but you also have people to support you and people that you're supporting too. So, I think
Mm.
there's a really cool, really fun dynamic in that because it's like you realize your biggest competition is you, but you can go and have good positive energy for somebody else wearing the same colors as you at the same time. It's not just
Right.
totally individual. So it's not like you're just going and struggling through those workouts by yourself. Cause I know that Louisiana heat is hurting sometimes.
Yeah. And I feel like
Okay.
also, just to add on to that real quick, the biggest thing like with
Hmm.
track, like how we talk about how it's a more of a yourself versus yourself, and like at the end you come together as a team, and for certain portions like you do need to be a team and rely on each other, but also it's like you're performing for yourself, and like you have to be the best version of yourself, because if you're running a race and you're in a heat and you win your heat, your time could be slow and you not move on, but you won out of everyone in your group. So it's like you have to perform to the best of your abilities and capabilities. Like if you're in a slow heat, that doesn't mean that you can just jog, because then like the other heats may run faster than you, and it might be three people from that one heat that ran faster than you, and just because like you won, it doesn't mean anything, you know?
Yeah, I feel you. And I'm sure that must be kind of like a daunting feeling if that does happen to you, because it's like you won your heat, but you didn't move on.
Right.
You know, it's like, dang, am I like the best of the worst? Like, how's this? But you know, that kind of goes into there's a comparison type of thing when you line up against somebody, but you still, it's you against you at the end of the
Mhm.
day. So, but kind of moving on, right? I know for you, um, you're at La Tech for your entire college track career. You go and you're going into your senior year, right? Big expectations for yourself. And you end up having a situation where disaster kind of strikes,
Yeah.
right? Tear your ACL. Walk me through, well, first off, walk me through kind of what happened. And then from there, what your mindset was, right, in the ensuing days and what happened to the emergency room to after and just the process of recovery.
Okay, so leading up to my injury, this was just like my season. It was going to be a really good season. I was in the best shape that I have ever been in my life. I've like knew that my coaches could see it. So we had our first meet at Kentucky, opened up with some good PRs. Of
Hmm.
course, it was improvement to be made, but just to when I started off the season, it was we were hopeful, right? So we have our next meet at LSU. At first there was some debate like of who was going to the meet, who wasn't going, because we had another big meet right after, but some people still needed to get marks, and like coaches wanted some of us to get reps, but like for the track wise at LSU, they have really tight banks, which doesn't apply to me. But a lot of the runners, T didn't want them running on there and getting injured.
Right.
So I did long jump and triple jump, got there, was warming up, felt pretty good, was loose and everything. So I started off with long jump. So had my first three jumps, they were pretty okay. I kept scratching a lot that meet, but long jump there was nothing there. I made it to finals. I think I finished in third place, and I going into the finals I was in second place. Then I finished those jumps. So far I just took six jumps, including like warm up run throughs and like pop ups and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
let's just say, to be on the safe side, I probably did about like 15 different types of running and popping up throughout that time, for that time frame. So right after we had triple jump. So for me, I was really tired for some reason, like after long jump, and like I was also frustrated because it wasn't coming together the way I wanted to be. Like I said, I kept like fouling or like scratching by a lot. Like the board was here and I was way in front of it, and they were good jumps. I just couldn't really get on the board the way I wanted to. So after long jump, I was tired and frustrated. I wanted to take a break, but I couldn't because triple jump was right after, and it was only one flight. So I think, okay, yeah. So I did do some run throughs for triple jump. Like I put my mark down, ran it through, and I couldn't get on the board the right way either. But I wasn't really too concerned about triple jump. I just felt like I was tired right now, and once I have a little break and get my feet back under me, I'll be good. So the first jump, I come out there, I tied my PR, or it was just like a half an inch off my PR. So now I'm pretty hype. I feel good. Coach is telling me what to work on, moving me back a little bit. We make adjustments. So I come through again for my second jump, and as I'm on my last phase, because triple jump is three phases, I hyperextend my knee. But like it happened, it honestly happened so fast that I still like pushed off of it, but it was just no power in like my jump. So I was able to push off and make it into the sand, and then it hurt to get up. So like I was really slow to get up, and then I had to get out the pit so they can like rake and people could go on. So I like stood to the
Mm-hmm.
side and I was bent over. I'm like, okay, like I can't walk it off right now. Like this is more than like a walk it off and keep
Right.
jumping, or like a walk it off and sit down. Like so I was kind of like over there bent over, mentally preparing myself, and like I had a guy sitting next to me, and he kept like just asking me questions in my ear, asking me like where's my trainer, and I was just getting frustrated. So I ended up like getting up. Like he was just asking me
Just kind
questions.
of
Like I was like,
irritated.
sir, I don't know right now.
You're like,
So I got
it
up and
it
I
hurts. Just like give me a
right,
second.
like it hurts. Find a trainer. I don't know where my
Mm-hmm.
trainer is. Like I don't know, sir. So I got up and like walked over towards my coach, and he was like, "Are you okay?" And then he was like, he started talking to me about like what I did wrong, and I'm I looked up at him. I gave him a look like, not right now. Like this isn't like a talk to me, and we'll get back on the board. So then like they waved over my trainer. I was able to walk back over to like our tent that we had to like set up or whatever it's called. And also this is an indoor meet too. I didn't throw that out there, but this was January of our indoor season. So walked over to the trainer. She kind of evaluated my knee, asked me what happened. I like hyperextended my knee and I still pushed off. She kept asking me like, did I hear a crack or did I feel a pop? And I genuinely like didn't feel any of those things. So she did her evaluation. She iced her knee. Then she called my main trainer who was back at school because she didn't come to the meet. And then she explained to her what happened, and then that was it. Like she said that I would get evaluated the next day because we got back late that night. So she just told me the next day to go in and like see her, and like she'll check out my knee and everything. So I iced it for about 20 minutes. It didn't swell up too bad, and I was walking after I did it. I didn't compete anymore, but I was still able to like walk, bend my knee. It was just like a little, like I was limping of course a little bit, but it was nothing, like the pain was never intolerable. I cried a little bit more out of like frustration and anger, but like I walked to the bus after. It was really like no issue. So the next day, went to the trainer. Of course, my knee was swollen, but it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't anything crazy to make me think that it was a serious injury. So she did the same evaluation that the other trainer did, like checked my ACL, and she said that it was loose. Now, disclaimer, in eighth grade, I played basketball a little bit, and I partially tore my ACL, and I didn't have to get surgery for that or anything. Thank God. I just kind of went through rehab, and once I was cleared, I went back to doing what I continued to do, which was
Wait,
track.
so your entire high school and college career of athletics, you had a partially torn ACL.
Well, I assume that it healed on its own because I mean, I partially tore it. They sent me through a series of rehab. Then I got cleared to return to my sports. I was never given like any restrictions of you can't do this, don't do this. So like there was no pain. So of course I'm gonna just go do as I please. Which when I tell everybody like that, like what happened, they're like, why didn't you say anything? Or we wouldn't have you had you triple jump if you known. But for me, it's like it's been almost 4 or 5 years. I never had an issue. Like I'm not thinking. I'm really not. That's not something that I think about.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her that. She's like, okay, well, maybe that will be like a possibility of why it's loose. But I don't know. We're going to get an x-ray and stuff, and we're going to start you like with prehab. So in my head, I'm like, why am I doing prehab if my ACL's torn? Like it didn't make sense, right? But she was like, it's just like a safety precaution and whoop de whoop, whatever. So I started doing prehab to just like make sure that I'm staying in shape, keeping my muscles and like knee from not getting stiff, whatever it does. So then Monday, I had got in, I didn't have to get an x-ray. They let me get an MRI. So I go get an MRI, everything's good. The guy's like, okay, like you should have your results back by the end of the day. Like I'm going to send them to the doctor. But he didn't express like any concern. And granted, his job isn't to tell me like if my ACL would be torn or not. But like he seemed like everything was fine. So like
Like the
I'm
tone
out
was
of there.
like, "Oh yeah, you're good. You got this."
Right.
Like,
Like, okay. Because, like, he asked me what happened. I told him. And then, like, he just didn't express any concern. So I'm leaving there. I'm thinking, like, okay, I'm good. The worst they were saying, like, maybe, like, if it's not completely torn, maybe you just have, like, a sprain and you'll be back. We'll, like, rehab you. You'll set out winter and you'll be back by indoor. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to miss out on indoor.
you mean outdoor?
I mean, yeah, I'll be back by outdoor. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to miss out on indoor, but like competing out outdoor, like that's fine too. Cause like if I'm still gonna be able to do some stuff, like it's okay. Monday, she didn't get the results back, but like I'm just talking to my coaches, like I'm like, yeah, like I still feel fine. Like my knee really isn't swollen anymore at this point. Like I tried jumping around my house and running. I it doesn't feel 100%, but it feels like good enough for like I know my ACL isn't torn. So we got the results back. I walked into her office. She was like, I don't have any good news. She was like, your ACL is like completely torn. She was like, it's not even like attached anymore. And like, I feel like my heart dropped. And I didn't cry in her office. Like, I started tearing up a little bit. But then I kind of like just prayed in my head. I'm like, okay. So before I had went to my coach's office because like it's all in the same building, I had walked back out to my car and I just had to like turn on worship music for a little bit and just like pray and like thank God, like it could be worse and like I don't understand like what you're doing or like why you're doing, but like I have trust in you and like I trust you, so like your plan is gonna like reign over my life anyway. So I went in my coach's office and I did cry because, like, dang, like that's when reality didn't fully set in. But it's like, okay, like my ACL's torn, and I'm not jumping again this season. So it was pretty rough, and like we were just talking, and like we were talking about like how my season, like we knew it was going to be a good season, and like this is the best shape I ever been in, and like it sucks. And they're like telling me like from a coach's standpoint like how they feel, and like I have a great relationship with my coaches. Like they're like two extra bonus dads for me, so like I could tell that they felt bad, and they were just telling me like they're gonna be there for me, and like asked me when I was gonna have my surgery. So I had my surgery February 10th, and leading up to that, I kept talking about like how, okay, like I'm gonna come back next year and I'm gonna keep jumping and like it's all gonna be fine. And do you want me to tell like keep going with like after surgery and
Hey,
everything?
this is your story.
Okay, so leading up to the surgery, like I said, I was hopeful I was going to come back next year and keep competing. It was just like a minor setback for a major comeback for me. So I also feel like at a certain point, reality still never like hit me that, okay, my ACL is torn. Like, I'm not going to, like, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be in the bed, not doing nothing. I'm going to be in excruciating pain, like everybody keeps telling me. also to go back like 3 days before my surgery during my prehab, I went outside and I was running. So like for me to have my ACL torn, like still it didn't still fully set in. Like I really thought I was going to get on the table. They were going to go in with the little microscope things and see that my ACL actually isn't torn. But that didn't happen because I woke up and my ACL was torn and it was
Right.
repaired. So they were like telling me like the first 3 days, like you're going to be in like so much pain. It's literally like the worst pain of your life. The first 3 days, I was not in any pain. I might have been, if anything, I experienced more discomfort because I had to have my leg elevated and I was sleeping on my back, and that's not something that I do. But like the pain medications, I might have took them the first night, and then after that, I was good. Like the pain was slim to none for me. And then the next day, right after my surgery, they already had started me doing rehab. So like my flexion of like bending my knee was like really good, and they're like usually people like are never at this point. So like as I'm going through like my rehab, I'm just seeing that like God has his hand over me. And I feel like just everything that how happened and the way it played out, like just with the pain and like with my recovery time and the way I'm rehabbing, it was just God redirecting me. Like he needed to shift my focus, but it was like this is the way that he had to do it to get my attention. But he still had like me covered, and he had his like I said, he had his hand over me. Because to now kind of go off, not really off track, but
Right.
I feel like leading up to my senior year, I like I said, I always had a relationship with God, and like I always like prayed, and I feel like I put God first. But now looking back at it, I don't think I ever really asked God and meant it with my heart, like, I want your plans to be my plans. I always said it,
Mm-hmm.
but I never truly meant it. And I feel like it got to the point where I was putting track over God, or like I had track and I was attaching God to it because that's
Mm,
what I knew I was supposed to do. Like, God is supposed to be in the center of my life. He's supposed to get all the glory in everything I do. So it's like, okay, I want to do track, and God, I need you to help me get here and there. So I'm going to attach you to this, even though this may not be your plan for me.
right.
So
So it
I
was
feel like,
like you were kind of like, God, like, I know track is my thing. I'm good at this. You gave me gifts to allow me to be good at this. So this must be what you want me to do. Like, so
right.
I'm going to clip you in with this rather than being like, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to use
Mhm.
these talents?
Right. And it was like, okay, God, if I win this, if I get this outcome, like you're gonna get all the glory. And it's like sometimes I would do good, and praying, I'm not gonna lie, wasn't always my first thing to do, or give thanks wasn't always my first thing to do. But it's like I said that was gonna be my first thing to do. So I definitely
Mm,
feel like track, like it was like God definitely had me do it for a reason, but it was never my end goal, but it definitely wasn't his end goal for me. And I just feel like it got to the point where like I was kind of trying to manipulate him and my relationship with him to get what I wanted to succeed in track. And I didn't intentionally do that, of course, but like now looking back at it, I can like see how that was something that I did.
yeah.
But I feel like I said, so I graduated this year. I knew I was going to graduate, being like it was my senior year, but I was graduating early. But more to the story, I always knew I was graduating. What I was doing after graduation, I didn't know what I was going to do. I always would say, like, if the season goes good, I'm going to come back because I have like one more year or 2 more years now. But I was like, I'm going to come
Hmm.
back and do another year. So, like, leading up to that point, like, I'm locked in with track. I'm not thinking about a master's program. I'm not worried about going to another school. Once I get through my full season and see what it looks like, then I'll figure out my plans for later on in life, however that may look.
All
So
right.
like when people would ask me like, "Oh, what are you like doing next?" Like I couldn't talk about graduating or like wanting to get my master's without like being ready to cry. Like I remember we were in Bible study one time and we were talking about it. I'm like don't even ask me any questions regarding that because I'm going to start bawling my eyes out. Like it was just so hard for
Mm,
me to think about and talk about for some reason. And it's like I just wanted to worry about track and getting through track, and then I'll figure out everything else. Like that wasn't a concern. So then being injured, it's like, okay, well, I want to come back next year, but I also need to be realistic and figure out what I'm going to do if coming back isn't an option. So I had to start applying for master programs and like looking into it. And if I can tell you right now, if I never got injured, I would not have been looking at master programs in that moment. Like I would have been focused on track, especially that was around like time for conference. I would have missed the deadlines to apply for school. And I really don't know where I would have been at. So I feel like God also needed to redirect my focus to like the bigger picture because like I said, track it was never like my end goal. It was always like this is what I'm doing to get me through for this and I enjoy doing it and it pays for school, so I'm going to keep doing it. But it was never my end goal. So I feel like God shifted my focus back onto what he had planned for me and where I'm going to succeed in life so I can like start heading in the right direction because I really don't know what path I was down at that point. I was just in the middle of the road. I had like three different options and when the time was going to be, I was just going to make a decision. So
So you,
he
I wasn't going to ask, but I'll let you finish.
go ahead ask.
I was going to say you've kind of brought up how much of an impact God has had on you and had on your life a lot, throughout this whole episode, right? Through those times and those days where you struggled, there was a tougher day or a darker day. How did God contribute to getting you out of those holes?
It was
And how
definitely
did that help grow that relationship that you have with Him?
So it was definitely for me, like just reminding myself that like God's plan is greater than what I could ever imagine. So like I had fun with track, like I have friends in track, like it's so much joy that comes from track. So I just had to keep reminding myself that like that is like the best. Those are the best moments of my life. Now imagine what God has in store, like because it's even better than what I can imagine. So like those tough days where it's like I don't know how I'm gonna get through this, or like dang, like now my teammates are traveling and I'm by myself. I don't have anyone to really do anything with. Like I'm on these crutches. Like I just want this process to be over. It's like okay, but imagine where God's gonna take you, whether it's in a couple months, whether it's in a couple years. Like His plan is literally like so much greater than what I can ever imagine. And then I also had to like keep like telling myself like I sing these worship songs where like I talk about how so like good God is and like how he's more than able to do this. Like I actually have to believe it. Like these can't just be this like can't be something that I'm just saying out my mouth in a moment. Like I actually have to put it into play and put it into practice and believe it with my whole heart that God is more than able to do all these things that he said he's going to do.
I knew
And then like
exactly what worship song you was talking about.
yeah, and like a worship song that like now like I always like because this is probably one of my favorite ones right now, but it's like "What a God" and by
Hmm.
Ryan. I forget his last name, but it says like if the highest place I've reached is at your feet, then I've done it all. And it's like that is the mindset that I have to have. Like God, if like right now where I'm at in my life, if this is all that you have for me, it's going to be okay. Like this is if this is the best that it gets, like I have to have peace in it. I have to be content with where I'm at and move on because it's greater than whatever I could want for myself. Whatever the world can offer me, I don't want it. Like I truly want everything that you have for me and your plans for me. And this is if this is all that I get and this is all that I receive, then I'm fine. So that was like big reminders for me just to be content with where I'm at and just enjoy life and know that God has his hand over me, which I knew he had, and like that these are just small seasons and moments in my life and God has so much more in store.
You know, listening to you talk about kind of your journey, with God and through your recovery, it actually, for me, it resonates a lot, even all the way down to in the hospital. Right. I don't know if we necessarily had the same reason as to why we like stopped the pain meds, but when I had broken my arm, they had me on some pretty serious stuff. And honestly, I felt horrible. Right. While on them. And literally by the time I got out, I think the day I got out of surgery after that night, the next day, um, I didn't take anything except for maybe like extra strength Tylenol.
Yeah.
One, because it felt horrible, and two, it was like I don't want to go and have to rely on these, you know. So yeah, but it's a lot of different things that you went through that I resonate with a lot, all the way down to right when you were recovering. Of course, you're from Jersey, you're in Louisiana. That's what 18 hours away, something like that.
Yeah, like 19 far.
Right. So when I broke my arm, I was in Florida, my junior year of high school, and my parents were in Maryland. So that was about somewhere between a 16 to 18-hour drive. So can you touch on that a little bit? Touch on of course, your parents, your family, your village. Um, I know you had your support at school from your trainers and your friends and all of that, but touch on that. How that was with your support system being kind of far and what
Mhm.
they did to make sure that you were good, to give you what you needed, and to just be there for you as a whole.
So to touch on that, like how I said in the beginning, like I never really got like homesick or like got to the point like where I was like desperately wanting to go home or like missing home. It was always good for coming like going home for the holidays and like coming back and being in my own space. But my mom, when she found out, she did not hesitate to book a flight and come take care of me. Like my mom and my both my mom and my dad, they've been supportive like through my whole track career. Like they've been making sacrifices from the time I was born for me to do like other sports, and then like traveling, like always just like paying for the expenses or like missing out on family vacations and other stuff just to make sure that I was good or to make sure like I got to my meets and everything. So like that's always been a plus, just having parents, like two parents that support you, because like looking around seeing that, like I know that not everybody gets that. So I'm always grateful for my parents and what they have done and what they continue to do for me. But having my surgery out in Louisiana and like not being in the comfort of my own home or like having all my family around to like wait on me hand and foot like I know they would. Like at first it was kind of hard, but like I said, my mom came down and we got an Airbnb for like the first like 3 days after my surgery, and then like because I got my surgery on a Monday, so she went home after at the end of the week, and my mom works from home, so she was able to work from like in the Airbnb. But like she came down, she made sure that I was taken care of good, had me like set back up at the house, and like I couldn't really clean around my apartment, like in my room, in my bathroom. She got someone to like a cleaning lady to come clean, and like she's just always been like supportive of me and making sure that like I was always good, so that was always just a plus. And then like family members who couldn't be here, like I had them like of course like text messages and prayers is always like good, and that's all I could ever ask for. And like they would send me like little gifts and stuff. So I was far away from home, but I never felt like I was away from home. Like I still had my friends from school and then my village back at home always supporting me and checking on me and making sure like that I was okay and I was doing well. And I know that like even after my mom went back after my surgery, like if I need her, she's one call away and she will be on a flight as fast as she can be to come help me in whatever way that I need. So like I always felt the support during my surgery, after my surgery, like before I even got injured. Like with track meets, my parents will always try their best to come to the meets. And like I said, half our meets are like down here, so it's not close to home. They can't just get up and drive 2 hours. They most of the time they have to get on a flight or they have to just take a long drive, which one of the times they did. But when I needed them to be there, they were always there. And even when I didn't do good, they were still there supporting me, loving me, encouraging me. So,
That's amazing. I don't know if we always give um or can always show the appreciation that we have for family and for parents. Um I feel like we have more appreciation than we even know how to show sometimes.
mhm,
And really just special shout out to parents, to moms, dads, all of that, you know, that are really just, even despite these things, whether it be through tough love, whether it be through being real, or whether it be through going and just being there when you need them, and just allowing you to be soft in your vulnerability in those times, right? They do everything that they can, everything that they have to do to make sure we're good. And to parents that have been there with us through injuries, through hard times, through adversities, right? We just thank y'all so much, because I mean, I don't know how I would have gotten through what I went through without my parents. And I'm sure what it sounds like is it's the same thing for you too.
mhm. Yeah, definitely.
So going on, right? We went through a lot of adversity, especially, here recently when it came to track. And now it's like you're up kind of on the other side of it, right? You're getting ready to go to grad school, right? God showed you a new path, a new way that he kind of wanted you to follow now, right? How did your adversity and what you went through physically and mentally kind of prepare you for this next part of your life that you're entering into, right? Because I mean, grad school, that's a big accomplishment, and you're setting yourself up to be successful, maybe not in the way that you originally thought being track, but in all different other facets of life and in the world, right? How did everything that you went through kind of contribute to, you being prepared for what you're about to go into now?
Okay, I feel like the first thing is we can talk about like time management. I've been a student athlete all my life. In high school, I was enrolled in a college program and I graduated high school with my associate's degree. So I always had to have a way to manage my time between track.
Overachiever.
Sometimes you gotta be. But I always had to like manage my time between sports and schoolwork and prioritizing each other. And that's been a big one. Like now, like I just got my certification in personal training this summer. So like managing my time between that and like going to work and still like getting stuff together for grad school. It's always like time management and like scheduling and like prioritizing what's important and like all that stuff. Also, I feel like now, which I didn't know how I was going to do at first, but I felt like in between of my injury and like graduating, I went through a slight period where I almost like had an identity crisis. Like I've always known like I'm a student athlete. Like, you know, like they ask you like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I run track at Louisiana Tech, or oh, I'm a jumper, or like track is always like there goes my name, and then I'm a student athlete goes right after. So now it's like I have me, but it's like what else is there to me? Like I know that track was never my everything, but it's like also like what else is there to like add? So like this summer and like even after getting injured, like I had to find myself and what do I like to do? What am I good at outside of track? Like, okay, I know I'm good at sports, but let's take that all off the table. Like, who am I? Like, just who is Leah Ellis? So it's like I had to come up with a new identity for myself and who I am and what I like to do and just other stuff like just outside of being a student athlete, which was it was hard at first because I feel like also being a student athlete, I didn't have to go out and make friends. Like I'm not really going out on campus and and sitting in the courtyard talking to
Right.
people or like introducing myself. I'm going out with my teammates. I'm with my teammates, and then we can make friends like off of that. But it's like now I'm just like I'm a regular person, so it's like what do I do? But like I said, I've been finding myself in other ways of like what I like to do and like interests, and I feel like that's just preparing me for when I get there. I'm glad I went through it this period now instead of like having tracked that whole outdoor season, graduating, and then having the summer. It's like, okay, now what do I do? You know? Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I mean, like, yeah, being a student athlete does kind of make some things a little bit easier when it comes to social life and all of that, right? Um,
Mhm.
it's like one, you kind of go into it knowing and having certain people kind of like just that you're surrounded by that you're around every day. So it's kind of like natural that you're gonna start to gravitate towards your teammates. But then even aside from that, it's like people kind of just end up knowing you because
Mhm.
you're a student athlete. And that makes a lot of sense as like, oh, hey, like I'm Lee, I'm a student athlete. Because I mean, we put so much into our sport, even just to get to this level to reach our goals in our sport, right? Of course, there's so much more to us than just I play basketball, I run track, I play football, I play baseball, I play softball. Like, but because of how dedicated we are to our craft, we don't really explore those things as much.
Mhm.
And necessarily get out of our comfort zone, right? You might get out of your comfort zone by in your workouts and push yourself all the way to that red line where you feel like you're about to pass out and find another gear. But it's like, okay, how much am I pushing myself out of my comfort zone in everyday life? Uh, You know, going and reading a book from a genre I've always been interested in, but I'd never really got into, or shoot, I don't know, going and seeing a play or going and just adventuring into other things. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the biggest question I had to ask myself was like, who does God say that I am? What does God say about me? So then, like, when people would ask me, like, now, like, okay, like, what do you like to do for fun? Or, like, who are you? It goes first by, like, okay, I'm Leah. And then it was like, I believe in God. I'm a child of God. I'm a Christian. And then, okay, I like to do this and a third. So instead of, like, Leah, I'm a student athlete and having my identity in my sport and what I'm good at. I have my identity in who I am and like what God says I am.
I didn't really think about it like that. And that's big. I mean, yeah, because if we really go and as followers of Christ as believers, right? He is supposed to be our center and our foundation, right? So, yeah, right. Why not when you're introducing yourself, start off by letting people know, hey, this is my foundation of who I am.
Because the
You
sport
open
is just
you open
what
their
we
eyes
do.
out here, Leah.
I had to have my eyes open first.
Hey,
'Cause it's just so easy
yeah.
to like this is my sport and this is what I do, but anything that we do in life shouldn't be who we are. It should
Hmm.
always be like who does God say that we are? What does God say about us? What does God have for us? And that's something that I really just had to. And it's not easy to always think like that, but I always had to, like this is something that I've been shifting my focus to. Like, what does God say about me? What does God say about me doing this? Like, and just going to God and asking God first before I act on my own because I'm half the time never right. So just really relying and trusting in
Half the
God.
time, half.
I mean, I'm right. I'm definitely right some of the time. So I feel like it could be 50-50.
Okay, I give you that. I give you that. I'm surprised you didn't give yourself more than half, but like
No, I
most
can
people
give you
do.
50-50.
That's fair. Okay. So kind of going on from there, what would you say is one thing that from your recovery process, from your injury, from going through all of this as a whole, that you wouldn't give back despite, the difficulties?
Ask that question one more time.
What's one thing that through your recovery, through your adversity that you've been through your injury, through that whole process that you wouldn't give back?
That I wouldn't give back. Honestly, I don't think this, and this sounds crazy for me to say. I don't think I would have not wanted to get injured. Like I wouldn't ask God, like, okay, let me complete my season. Because I'm telling you, if I would have had my track season, I don't think I would be where I am now with like just spiritually and just the growth that I made. Like being injured it uh, it forced me to shift my focus. Like I had to learn patience. I had to learn to trust on God. I had to learn to be able to accept like help from other people when I didn't want it. Like I had to really grow in myself and learn more about myself to get to the point where I am now. And like I just don't know where I would be if I didn't get injured. And I mean, it sucks to say that because like I love my sport and like it was going good in the season, but I feel like if I wouldn't have gotten injured, my relationship with God wouldn't be as strong as it is now because all the stuff that I was praying for was centered around track. All the stuff that I was like the reason why I'm praying and I'm reading my Bible is because like I know this is what I'm supposed to do, and if I obey you and honor you, God, you're gonna do this for me or you might do this for me. And I say that you're going to get all the glory, but like I just don't know truly in my heart if I believe that he would have got the glory at some point, but not that. I don't know if I would have dropped to my knees and thank you first. I probably would have ran to my teammates or ran to my coaches and celebrated a little bit, and then later on when I had quiet time, okay, now praise and thank you. But that's not what I said that I would do. So like the
So
stuff that I was saying that I was going to do, I don't know if I would have honored my word, and I think that would have hurt my relationship with God more than brought me closer to Him or brought others closer to Him.
so it sounds like for you, your injury, and your process was really kind of just like a spark for the growth in your relationship that you have with God.
Hmm.
So then going back to the beginning of that process, right? You're in your indoor season. What would you now tell you then before it all happened?
Take out more time for God, and I would pray or I would tell myself to really look and search my heart and like why am I doing this? Like am I doing it because I like the attention from other people? Am I doing it because I like posting on social media and I like seeing the clips and the highlights? Like what am I gaining from this? And how am I leading people towards God? That's some of the biggest stuff that I would ask myself because if if I'm doing it for self enjoyment, then it's wrong. Like it should always be God getting the glory and the pleasure first, and how I can bring others to Christ. If I'm doing it for myself, then I've already failed. Like, right? I should have fun with what I'm doing. I should enjoy it and get some type of like self satisfaction. But that
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be my only driven goal. Like, how am I pleasing God? How am I bringing other people towards God? Because like this life isn't about me. Like, yes, this is my life, but it's really not my life. This is God's life. I want what
Mm-hmm.
He has for me. Like, if I'm not helping other people come to Christ, if I'm not telling people about God and about the good and bad, not sugarcoating it, like, then what am I doing?
Right.
I'm not. I'm just not doing it right. And it's like that's what I just had to see going through all that. Like, this isn't about me. Like, I live on this earth, but like God reigns over this earth. So it's like it's His will be done, and I really have to like see that in the Bible, say that out of my mouth, and believe it. Like, God, I want what You have for me over my life, and like I don't want what I want, and it gets me to the point where like I don't have You, or like I'm just living for the world. Because if it means like if I don't get what I want and you get what you want and it leaves people closer to you, then I'm satisfied. Like, okay, so what? Like, I don't run track anymore. I'm fine. I still have so much in store for me. Like, track was never who you wanted me to be, and I knew that. So it's like it's fine that that's not a part of me anymore, because now I get to serve people in other areas of life, like their life, or I can be more involved in the community with here, or like I can actually go to church on a Wednesday and not think about, okay, I have weights or I'm not going to be there in time and I can't do this because I have track, you know?
Yeah. Man, you have a powerful testimony. You have a really, really, really powerful testimony. As we kind of get ready to come to a close here, get ready to come to an end, right? For you, right? Of course, this is uncontainable. So to you, what does it mean to be uncontainable?
That's a good question.
It's kind of my job.
Oh, please. I take it back. No, but this is a good question after all. And being uncontainable, I feel like if you want to like start off like basically to me, it means like I'm just trying to figure out how to put my thoughts into words.
Hey, take your time.
I feel like not living by what the world says. Like that's the first thing. Like being able to shift off gear and being different and being okay with that. Cuz I feel like a lot of us are we say we want to be different, but like do we really want to be different, or like when we do stick out like a sore thumb, we're really bothered by it. So being uncontainable is not being like conformed to a box and being like stuck with what the world says about you or how it's supposed to be, and being able to like venture off and like being different or not following the
Yeah.
path that's everybody else is on. Like that's what it means to be to me.
Yeah. Be different. Be yourself.
Who God called you to be.
Yeah. Be the different that you want to be. Be the different that God wants you to be. Man, yeah, you open some eyes with this one. I ain't gonna lie. You open some eyes with this one. Okay, Leah. I see you. I see you.
This is what I what you just say? This is what I do. This is what I do.
This is what you do? Okay. Okay.
Maybe.
Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Of
Ah,
course.
man, this has been amazing. And for the people watching out there, thank y'all for watching. Please subscribe. Come back for more next time on the next episode of Uncontainable. Um, and Leah Ellis, thank you so much
Thank you so
for
much for
joining
having
me.
me once again.
All right.